Hey everyone, it's your girl Regina coming at you guys with another video. Hey, so I'm doing another book review. I have been reading quite a bit this month, thankfully, and so I figured, hey, why not do another book review? I'm going to be doing two videos, one of The Lovely War and one Tower of Nero. And yeah, I'm not doing two books, one video. More like two books, two videos. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? First of all, or firstly, shall we say, let's get into Lovely War by Julie Berry. I started this back in April, and I had gotten to 45%. And I don't know, I just got distracted, or my reading slump hit. I just hadn't had the inclination to finish it until October. I said, you know what, I have a lot of open books. I would rather finish what I started rather than start something new, which is what I did. And this is one of those books. I should also mention, this book will now forever have a very specific memory. Aw, don't you look cute falling asleep right there? As I was reading on last Friday, my little doggy, Nico, his name is Nico Merlin Flamel, who has fallen asleep or is trying to nap on my bedroom floor because he's like, oh, I'm gonna need wobble, I'm not as really cute. This is what he did. You see this? I was reading, and I don't know, he was just feeling really feisty. So, what he decided to do was take off a corner of my book. See, I don't mind him chewing on other things, right? That's fine. I know that he doesn't really mean it, and he's a puppy. But there's one thing that I would never tolerate. Him chewing and ripping up my books. If I had to choose between my love of Nico and my love of books, let's just say they're equal, right? So, yeah. He's very sweet. Try to get a clip of him at some point. So anyway, what this book is actually about. In the perilous days of World Wars I and II, the gods held the fate and the hearts of four mortals in their hands: Hazel, James, Aubrey, and Colette. A classical pianist from London, a British would-be architect turned soldier, a Harlem-born ragtime genius in the U.S. Army, and a Belgian orphan with a gorgeous voice and a devastating past. Their story, as told by Goddess Aphrodite, who must spin the tale or face judgment on Mount Olympus, is filled with hope and heartbreak, prejudice and passion, and reveals that, though war is a formidable force, it is no match for the transcendent power of love. So, a little bit more context. If you guys are not aware, Aphrodite was to be married to Hephaestus. Aphrodite is the goddess of love. Hephaestus is he worked in the irons. He was able to forge the strongest of irons. It's an iron worker, basically. And because Hephaestus was known as being quite ugly, Hera's words, not mine, Aphrodite was not attracted to him. So, she used to she had an affair with Hades. No, not Hades, sorry, Ares, the god of war. So, that's why they say, all is fair in love and war. So all is fair when it comes to Venus and Mars. So, in the beginning of the story, Aphrodite is in cahoots, or post-coitus, or mid-coitus with Ares, and Hephaestus finally catches them and says to them that because you have betrayed me for the last time, Hephaestus says to Aphrodite and Ares that they will be forced to stand trial. There we go. Oh, pepperoni. And the only way that Aphrodite can get out of it is to spin a tale of why she's here and what's going on. And so she talks of these four people: Colette, Aubrey, Hazel, and James. Oh, trigger warning. Even though this book is written in... It's not talking. 2019, right? Even though this book is written in 2019, this is set in the time of World War I. So what does that mean, folks? That means discrimination is still a thing, you know, with the people, especially the allies, not allies, I used to know this. The Axis powers, sorry. And that also means that the North and the South, there was still a lot of racism. Now, why do I mention this? It's because in the first 50 pages, there is language. There is discriminatory language, especially against Aubrey, who is a black soldier. While he's fighting in the United States Army, he is still facing discrimination from a specific regiment who is from the South, shall we say. And again, this also deals with interracial relationships because he falls in love with Colette. And you know, that was not as common back then, so even that was an issue for them and in this past. Now, I understand the harmful language, such as, I'm not going to say it, like the N-word, for example, and another word, look up on Twitter or online. While I understand that it's very, very harmful, and it should not be allowed in modern-day discourse, especially civilized discourse, I will say that as a history major, I have been trained to look at things, especially literary work, with a historical context. I've been trained to look at these things and say, okay, this is set in the past, what was going on in the past, and the language of the past, if that makes any sense. So now we'll get forward. We'll move forward. Yeah. So Aubrey is in 360. Is in the regiment, and he joins the army as a pianist. You know, he and his regiment are known for making other soldiers' lives a little bit better by playing music, and he wants to be world famous. Then we have Colette, who is a classical pianist, whose family has been literally murdered off by the Germans. And she holds the memories and the ghosts of all her loved ones near to her heart. Then we have Hazel, who is English, and she meets her lover, or her beau, shall we say, at a church dance. And they fall in love. Because James is off to war, the Hazel decides to join up and wants to pitch in her efforts for the war efforts. As you guys know, women were quite instrumental when the men were away, whether they were part of taking up jobs that men previously had or working on the battlefield, whether as nurses, medics, as part of the YMCA, the Red Cross, and each person has had their fair share of tragedy. But Aphrodite, she says that it is much more powerful. Love is a very powerful source, and how even though Ares, who was the god of war, even though he's calling all these men to war, into action, and says that he has been responsible for sending so many souls to Hades, the god of the underworld, that it's not really up to him. And then you have Apollo, the god of music, who is trying to influence, non-directly, Aubrey to become a great, great singer. Hephaestus, he works in very, very small ways. But it's really a story about how the fates, how the gods, if you're into Greek mythology, how they've influenced mortals' actions. And how, in the times of great tragedy, there's always been a bigger power, which was love. And they always say that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Which these Germans, Britishers, Americans, what have you, they hated each other. Well, the Germans hated the Americans and the Brits and all of that. But really, they were saying that, especially James, who you realize she doesn't particularly want to be in the war because of all the tragedy that he's seen. He says that he has been forced to kill. He's never wanted to pick up a gun, but he becomes an excellent sniper. And we see the beginnings of post-traumatic stress disorder, which will not be diagnosed in history until the Vietnam War. Then we have so many tragedies. You have so much going on, and yet Aphrodite is still weaving moments of love, of kindness, of beauty, and war is ugly, war is messy, but so is love. It's not always beautiful, it's not always romantic, it can be messy, it can be complicated, but Aphrodite does her best to bring these people together despite all of their challenges. I rated this 5 stars, and it is by far one of the best books I've ever read this year. It is, I think, 490 pages or something? No. Sorry, it is 451 pages. However, it is a very quick read because the chapters are no more than 5 pages long. I would definitely read more from Julie Berry. I am very curious in The Passion of Dulce and All the Truth That Is in Me, also by Julie Berry. I highly recommend you guys reading this. It is so stinking beautiful, and it's also very sad. As is war, as is destruction. But it really reminds me to look for the joy in the sadness, to look for the kindness when this world is literally up in flames. Well, not literally, metaphorically up in flames. Whether it's the United States elections vote, or it's the constant protesting of Black Lives Matter, which of course they do, transphobia, and all of that, misogyny, genders. Oh yeah, a global freaking pandemic. So, yeah, I am going to get off here for now. I'm going to see you guys in the next video, which is the Tower of Nero review. Alrighty, I shall see you guys next time. Please remember to comment, like, subscribe, leave a like, and if you haven't, hit the bell icon for notifications. And check back often. If you don't have a notification as one of my subscribers, just check back. Alright, I shall see you guys next time. Stay safe, and happy Halloween.